Welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
The person that turned in Luigi Mangione is getting the wildest karma right now. So at this point, you all probably know that Luigi Mangione was turned in by a McDonald's employee. You also all probably know that there was a pretty substantial reward for turning Luigi in. And this employee was going after that reward, but their claim has been denied. This is due to the fact that if you wanted to qualify for the reward, you had to call into the tip line, but the employee ended up calling 911 and not the tip line, which means they get nothing. But the karma does not stop there, because the employee turning Luigi in has caused the reviews of the McDonald's this happened at to absolutely tank. It is currently a 1-star reviewed restaurant now, and people have also found out the employee that gave the tip's name and started sharing it online, which means that on top of everything else that's happened, the employee will also probably be losing their job because of this, due to the fact that people are very, very upset with them, and that McDonald's is now no longer a safe place for them to work. Personally, I don't blame the employee. They probably just saw the cash reward and thought, oh, I can really use the money, and didn't think of anything else. But it's just wild to me that absolutely nothing in this situation ended up working out for them.
Wow, the irony of the claim being denied. Shout out to Noah Glenn Carter. Man, that's crazy.
So there's a newly discovered connection between Nancy Pelosi and Luigi Mangione that's raising questions in the investigation of United Health CEO Brian Thompson's murder. Now, you probably don't know this, but there was a cyber attack, a major cyber attack on United Health Group in February. And this cyber attack coincided with Paul Pelosi's $4 million investment in Palo Alto Networks, a network or a company that was later investigated. And the timing has raised concerns regarding potential insider trading. Now, the death of Brian Thompson, he was murdered shortly before he was set to testify in a case that could have potentially implicated Nancy Pelosi in this insider trading scheme. Now, this ultimately has fueled some speculation about a possible connection to the ongoing investigation. And Luigi Mangione, who we all know was just arrested, is a pretty tech-savvy descendant of a wealthy Maryland family with historical ties to Nancy Pelosi's family. And now he's being charged with the murder of Brian Thompson. Now, his involvement, it's bringing up some questions. Do these family connections mean anything? No, the Mangione and the D'Alessandro family, where Nancy Pelosi comes from, have a history, a pretty long one, of being associated with one another. So you see, Nicholas's grandfather has ties to Nancy Pelosi's father. Yeah, they're buddies. Look, this could be coincidence, but the sequence of events around a cyber attack and then insider trading investments and the fact that we know so much more about this Mangione guy and the video that sparked of him being arrested, and he's saying that there was foreign currency planted in his bag. I don't know. It doesn't surprise me, but the other question I would have is, how do we know so much about this guy? And it took us weeks to find out who shot at Donald Trump.
Shout out to the official R. Majewski. And I agree, this could definitely be a coincidence, but I must admit, it's definitely raising a lot of questions. I'm beginning to believe that we've uncovered another rabbit hole.
I hate to say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street, I wouldn't know a thing. Sorry to this man.
Nope, nothing alike. Y'all got the wrong guy. I see a bird and then this man right here. Not the same person.
Shout out to B. Espinal. She speaks for a lot of people right now.
So Luigi Mangione got his Twitter deleted, and the internet started questioning Elon Musk about it. Elon finally chimed in like, "This happened without my knowledge. Looking into it." Next thing you know, Luigi is back. His account is reactivated, and they slapped a blue check on him. This feels like fan fiction. I refuse to believe it. At this rate, don't be shocked if they announce his pardon next.
Oh wow, shout outs to Over a Coffee. It sounds like fan fiction indeed. This is crazy.
We as completely out of touch, and it's insult the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
Luigi Mangione yelled at reporters as he was walked into court by police in Pennsylvania late last night. The 26-year-old was officially charged with murdering Brian Thompson in Midtown Manhattan. He's also facing separate charges in Pennsylvania.
Mangione was arrested at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania on Monday. Altoona police released these photos from that McDonald's taken from a police body camera. Officers said that he began to shake when they asked if he had recently spent time in New York City. But New York City's police commissioner also said on the Today Show this morning his name was not on their radar.
So I came across this person's video last night about the shooter, and he has a countdown on a YouTube, and it's, if you're seeing this, I'm already under arrest, and the countdown is to the 11th. And the funny thing is that when you go to his YouTube, it's been taken down, but people were uploading things after this. Let me just say, even Cat Dad thinks that this is an FED situation. Because you have to ask yourself certain questions. Logical, critical thinking questions. Like, come on. Who writes words on a bullet? When do the cops give you key evidence to an ongoing investigation the day of? Like, ever. And now this guy, Luigi, his name is. Like, y'all have heard of crisis actors, right? Y'all have heard of that, right? This will disappear like you won't see no trial of it. Trust me, you will not see a trial. And you will hear about his sentencing. This guy, I truly believe, like Cat Dad said, works for a 3-letter agency. And we are being herded. We're being guided like a herd for a certain agenda. Do y'all know what that agenda is? It's crazy. 3 words they said was on the bullet, right? Wasn't there 3 words also in the France Revolution? Also, haven't the people taken over Syria? Yeah, no one's talking about that. Syria? And me reporting on Syria with the news put out, they took my video down for community guidelines. The news, so you know I'm a targeted person already. Speaking on this, please don't fall for the hype. Please know what the end game is. Please know and use your critical thinking skills and not fall into your cognitive dissonance. Ask questions. What is going to come out on the 11th? And how is it going to come out? How are we going to be able to find it since his YouTube has been taken down as soon as he got arrested? Why would he leave this cryptic ass countdown that went to 0 and said more to come on the 11th? Things that make you say, do you think it's maybe hurting us toward revolution? Like Syria? Like France? Message! Tell me if you haven't made it apparent, or they haven't made it apparent, that their reach, the government's reach, is really overreach, and they want us to react. Tell me I'm bugging. Know the plan. Peace of...
Shout outs to Toxic But True Reality. I feel where he's coming from. Something is just off about all of this. I've never seen a countdown like that myself.
What if the assassin's entire family wealth came from healthcare insurers? The entire world is aware that today Luigi Mangione was arrested as the prime suspect in the unaliving of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Pennsylvania, where unironically he was eating at a McDonald's. He had his manifesto with him. He had the weapon possibly 3D printed with him. But no one, and I mean no one, is talking about the fact that the healthcare companies are single-handedly responsible for all of his family's wealth. I, however, happen to be just outside Baltimore, and in Maryland, we all know where his family's money comes from, and I think there's a tie no one is talking about. Let's get into it. So Luigi Mangione went to Ivy League schools. He also did Ivy League seminars at Johns Hopkins and at Stanford University. He is an intelligent man, but he also graduated as the valedictorian from the Gilman School. Now, if you're anywhere around Maryland, then you know when someone asks where you went to school out here, they're not talking about your university, they're talking about your high school. The Gilman School is one of the most elite preparatory schools in our region, racking in at anywhere between $35,000 and $39,000 a year to go to school there. Introducing the Mangione family. Now, the Mangione family actually is the head of a group of organizations that are privately held nursing care facilities, and it's called the Lorien Group. And if you look at the Lorien Health Services About Us page as of today, it says a family-owned and operated organization founded by and conducts itself based on strong family values. But if you look just a couple days ago, it looked like this. That's right, folks. Just a few days ago, it said when Nicholas and Mary Mangione founded Lorien Health Services, they set out to provide Maryland seniors with pride and dignity, yada, yada, yada. It's very interesting how that just changed, isn't it? But how do we know who really owns all of these facilities, and how do we know he's related to them? Now, doing a fair amount of research on these nursing facilities, I've learned that since 1977, they've grown to have at least 9 long-term care and rehab facilities all across the state of Maryland. They also have expanded to add a healthcare services company, and they invested a ton of money in buying Turf Valley Golf Resort, where they have tons of weddings and conferences, and they also host hundreds and hundreds of dinners for healthcare and pharmaceutical representatives. No correlation, I'm sure. This is an article from the Washington Post discussing Nick and Mary Mangione's acquisition of the Turf Valley Resort. And it was in these responses to interrogatories from one of their lawsuits that I identified the ownership structure of Lorien Healthcare and their affiliates. In this document, they're answering who owns all of the facilities and who owns all of the stock in Lorien Healthcare and Lorien Health Services. And they identify it and say that the 10 adult offspring of Nicholas and Mary Mangione, listed as Louis, John, Rosemary, Linda, Lucita, Nicholas, Joanne, Peter Mangione, and Francis, and Samuel, and Michelle, each own a 10% stake. Now, in this same set of interrogatories, they identify the specific breakdown of the shell corporations and which corporations do what with which facilities. They also address ownership of the Turf Valley Resort. I also found an attached letter offering to purchase a new facility, and it was signed by a law firm, but it was signed by Louis Mangione, president of the company that was doing the development for all of the rehab facilities and the resort. Now, Louis Mangione, according to address records, is likely Luigi's father. I had to go and find out which of them were Luigi's parents. When I did a background check on Luigi, I found his address as 1 Buckley Court in Towson, Maryland, which happens to be the same address as Louis Z. Mangione and also his wife, Kathleen Z. Mangione. And as I said, Luigi at 1 Buckley Court, Towson. In case you're wondering, 1 Buckley Court is neatly nestled right at the foothills of Providence, one of the most exclusive areas to live in and around Baltimore and Baltimore County. It's also very close to the private country club that the Mangione family purchased and operates today. Now, taking a really hard look at how the experiences are for the residents at their family nursing facilities, at first glance, it looked like they were really actually on the up and up. It looked like their residents were well taken care of. It appeared that they were receiving decent care. I couldn't find very many lawsuits, but then I dug. I found a bunch of shell corporations, and I identified several malpractice suits against them. I also went and looked at the government rankings of their nursing facilities from the Medicare assessment team that actually determines whether or not the residents have a strong quality of life. And let me tell you, the numbers were not pretty. Jumping back to the healthcare facilities and the state or condition and quality of care that their patients receive. Remember, Luigi volunteered here quite a bit. Right now, their most recent health rating is 2 stars, and they have received at least 24 demerits just on the health conditions and the health inspection investigations in their one facility this year alone. If you look here, it says the average number among similarly sized nursing homes in the United States is 9.6, and they've received 24 demerits just this year on one facility. According to this, they're squeezing 112.7 patients on average into a facility that the average in the United States holds 81. But this is where the percentages really start to upset me. As you know, I have done a ton of research on private equity and healthcare. And right here, you're going to see the percentage of long-stay, low-risk residents who lose control of their bowels or bladder, which has to be marked every time it happens for Medicare to pay for their bills. 83.2%. The national average is between 48-ish% That means that of their low-risk patients, almost 85% of them do not get taken to the bathroom in time to use the facilities and are forced instead to go on themselves or in their bed or in their diapers or whatever they have them using. But they are not taken to the bathrooms 84% of the time. This is the ownership of the facility so that you can see that these stats are for one of their facilities, Lorien Health Services, right here. And if you look, it's got their contact information right here. I'm not saying to use it. Do not use it. And it also lists their ownership, and here it is. We have Michelle, Rosemary, Linda, Joanne, John, Louis Mangione, Nick Mangione, Peter, Samuel, and Francis, the 10 siblings, each owning 10%, as stated in the article I posted before. Now that's 1 out of 9 of their facilities. And I know what you're thinking, well, how do we know that Luigi cares at all about what's happening at his family business that has grown and grown and grown? Well, if you look into his LinkedIn, or you did before they took it down, it shows that he regularly volunteered at Lorien Healthcare Services. I give you Exhibit A, one of the instances where he did some volunteer work at his family business. Now, if you look at the notes that have come from the releases today of the manifesto or the documents that were with Luigi Mangione at the time of his arrest, the documents apparently said these parasites had it coming. I do apologize for any strife and trauma, but it had to be done. I am not informed enough to analyze whether he allegedly did what he's being accused of doing or why he did it. But what I do know is he was an incredibly intelligent individual, graduating valedictorian and then later cum laude from very prestigious institutions. His social media feed reads like a philosophical challenge board. And as somebody who has a degree in philosophy, I was actually kind of shocked by how much of his posting actually overlapped with a lot of the stuff that I read in school. I do know that we may be dealing with the possibility of an identity rebellion, or we could be dealing with an ideological, ethical awakening. I know that online he frequently posted about utilitarian versus virtue ethics. Now, if you're not familiar with that concept, utilitarianism is the greatest good for the greatest number of people, regardless of what it takes to get there. Whereas virtue ethics say that an act is good only if a virtuous person would do it. He said that unequivocally, he tended to lean towards utilitarianism, saying that actions justify the outcome if the change was positive for the most number of people. That kind of speaks to where we're at. So what do we know? We know that this guy was caught eating at a McDonald's with everything the police needed in his backpack. We know that he had very specific things written in that backpack that suggested that what he did needed to be done if he in fact did it. We also know that all of his family's wealth, and their wealth is substantial, came from the very same healthcare companies as Brian Thompson was the CEO of. And they have significant wealth. Among their shell corporations, they own dozens of businesses and a resort that houses thousands of acres of prime real estate in the middle of one of the most expensive states to own real estate in the United States. We know they owned homes in the most exclusive and expensive area in Maryland, and Maryland has several of the most expensive or the highest earning counties in the United States. We also know that if you watch his social media, at a certain point, Luigi Mangione began to talk more and more about the importance of society doing more good for more people. And he also cited frequently authors that advocated for the same. I would not say any of his postings leaned left or right, generally more like up versus down. Considering he was absolutely part of the up, it's an interesting quandary. We also know that while his family business looks to be an altruistic endeavor that's there to serve the patients and their families as they claim, their rankings show something different. It shows an area where too many patients are crammed into too small a space with too few nurses with bad health conditions, and they're left to sit in their own feces and their own urine. That reeks of profit before patient. And considering that all of their family wealth relied on these exact same insurers to keep that money flowing, it's a bold statement if that's in fact what he intended. Regardless, it is never okay to advocate for violence, and I'm not doing that on my channel. What I am doing is advocating that we all pray for the patients of Lorien Healthcare. We pray for their family members as they go through a difficult time of probably learning the kinds of conditions their family members have been in, and we're going to see other people that are struggling with the information that comes out. If you're new here, My name is Tiffany. We work together to fight private equity. We work together to save small businesses in our community, to expose corrupt corporations, and to talk politics regularly. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to like, share, do all the buttons, and do all the things. Sorry, 83.
Wow. Shout outs to Tiffany Cianci. Yeah, I was blown away by this. I agree with her. I don't condone violence and won't condone violence on this channel or platform. But with this research right here and this information, it definitely digs into the psyche of what possibly went wrong. Like, usually stuff like this takes months to get out to the public. It's been like 20 hours or a day. Excellent work. Yeah, this one shook me to my core.
Luigi Mangione's full manifesto has finally been released. And guys, this is crazy. I can completely see why mainstream media refused to publish the full manifesto, because this is wild. In the manifesto, Luigi starts off by saying, "To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the US has the #1 most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is the indecipherable largest company in the US by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, Walmart. It has grown and grown, but as our life expectancy? No, the reality is that these have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space. And frankly, I do not pretend to be the qualified person to lay out the full argument, but many have illuminated the corruption and greed, Rosenthal, Moore, decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I'm the first to face it with such brutal honesty. Now I really wonder why mainstream media didn't want to publish his manifesto.
That's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. If you haven't already, please take a second
just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? Run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.